The aftermath of California's clashes between protesters and ICE agents is unfolding tonight as we find out more about what really happened while migrants were being detained across several farms. More than 300 were detained. One migrant was taken off life support today after falling from a building while trying to hide from officers. Of course, many are blaming the officers. Perhaps you should blame the people employing him. And still, an alleged shooter is on the loose after appearing to fire a gun at federal agents. Trump just posted on Truth Social about reports of protesters throwing rocks at ICE officers, saying, "I'm directing Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, Borders Czar Tom Homan, to instruct all ICE, Homeland Security, or any other law enforcement officer who's on the receiving end of thrown rocks, bricks, or any other form of assault, stop their car and arrest these slime balls." Democrats now have a choice. They can side with law enforcement and accept not everyone they've been trying to protect is innocent, or they can side with the rioters and cover-ups and those who hire illegal aliens and keep children. The Democrats' hatred of everything President Trump has put them in an uncomfortable position. Exhibit A, California Governor Gavin Newsom's newest fight with President Trump. Newsom posted on X, kids running from tear gas, crying on the phone because their mother was just taken from the fields. Trump calls me new scum, but he is the real scum. How original. He made the post with this video, but not so fast. 10 undocumented children were found at that marijuana growing facility, 8 of which were unaccompanied, meaning they were effectively indentured servants, child labor indentured servants, likely victims of human trafficking. The farm is now under investigation for child labor violations. Children wouldn't have to be running from tear gas if their parents didn't put them in dangerous situations, or worse, if they weren't held as virtual slaves by employers exploiting illegal labor. It's pretty simple. Yet Democrats can't give up their ideology purity on this one, even when that means going as far as protecting people on the FBI terror watch list or with FBI questions in their background. Exhibit B, Imam out of Cincinnati, who was detained by ICE. Democratic Congressman Greg Landsman has been working on the case of Ayman Soliman for his release or his due process, despite DHS Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin saying he was on the terror watch list and had his asylum status revoked by the Biden administration. With us now, Congressman Greg Landsman of Ohio, representing much of Cincinnati. It's good to see you, sir. Thank you. To put it in the bluntest possible terms, the Biden administration didn't seem to want this man in the United States anymore. Why do you?
Well, the question now is whether or not he gets a good, a fair trial, which I think most people would agree he deserves. So, like, this is just fundamental due process, right? And that's what I think is going to happen. We've been in conversations with folks, federal immigration folks, local folks, his lawyers. This is a guy who came in 2014. He got asylum in 2018 in the first Trump presidency, and then his asylum status was revoked. There are questions. The FBI is involved. We're not sure what those questions are. That's what gets played out in a trial. And so what we've asked is that he be afforded A, that trial, which he's going to get, and B, the opportunity to stay here until he has that trial. So he's going to stay in Southern Ohio.
A lot to break down here. Why is it with these cases that we always get the headline, like Abrego Garcia was a Maryland father, then we learn that there's a lot more to his background. This man was, he's just a chaplain at a children's hospital and he's about to be deported. And then it turns out we find out what was actually the Biden administration. There's questions about his background from the FBI. And I ask this fairly because I think there is so much, hatred of Trump's policies by Democrats that oftentimes you guys get a little out over your skis on some of these cases. Is that fair criticism?
It might be, generally speaking. At least for me, what I try to do is meet the needs of my constituents. So if a constituent says, and then they approach us, it was a rabbi who approached me and said, hey, there's this, a Muslim chaplain at Children's Hospital. He's been, working on his case with federal authorities since December, and this was in March. So yes, he got flagged in December, but there wasn't this immediacy to get him, in front of a judge or out of the country, right? I mean, it wasn't until a couple of days ago. So you're talking about 6-7 months. So it's not clear what the questions are that the FBI has, but obviously we want law enforcement to do what they're going to do.
Okay.
But people should be able to do that, get that done in this case in front of a judge so that, it's fair.
Okay, well, they will get sorted out. I want to zoom out, though, in this situation, because so much of the discussion about President Trump's immigration policies delivers this reflexive response from Democrats. And we think about what's happening, for example, in California. The raid there, 300 illegal immigrants were arrested, many of whom, about a dozen, were children who were there without parents, meaning they'd likely been trafficked. Do you worry that the rhetoric from Democrats, largely speaking, about ICE and how terrible ICE is the Gestapo, ICE must be stopped, there must be protests, at some point we're going to go from people shooting at ICE, which they did in this situation, and throwing rocks, to an ICE officer getting killed, and Democrats are going to be the ones who, fan the flames of a lot of these protests?
Yeah, I mean, I know that there are some folks who have said some pretty inappropriate, unhelpful things, but the vast majority of my colleagues, I think, are where I am, or at least, what I've heard is, look, don't engage ICE. Don't mess with law enforcement. But that, this is chaotic. I mean, we're seeing these, chaotic raids, folks coming into communities with masks on, and there are some legitimate questions. And I don't think the American people like chaos. It's not good policy. It's terrible politics, and that's what they see.
Would you be in favor of something that goes like this? In return for the end of raids on Home Depots and other places like that, the Democrats should say we are willing to end sanctuary cities once and for all?
Well, I don't know what sanctuary cities means, right? So at the moment, my understanding is, based on what we do here, is that local law enforcement does local law enforcement, and I don't want to pull our cops off the beat and focusing on anything other than keeping people safe. So I think you'd have to get a definition in a way that
sanctuary city clear. Means honoring ICE detainers.
I don't know. That's not what it. I'm very confused by what is honoring ICE detainers.
It means that when ICE says we don't want someone released from jail because they have a final deportation order, even if they've been arrested for a misdemeanor, that detainer is honored, because sanctuary cities don't honor ICE detainers.
I don't think that's true.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I think most people understand it the way I do, which is local law enforcement, federal law enforcement, in this case, federal immigration officials, they do immigration work. And local law enforcement, they do the policing work in cities, and not rounding up people. I think that's all it means.
Got it. All right. Congressman, appreciate you being here. We'll follow, obviously, the case of your constituent and see where it goes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.